Folks, we'll start with our broadcast section, which will be led by Rob Dorset, please.
Thanks, Anthony. Brendan, you'll have seen in the last hour or so that a club you know very well, Chelsea, have sacked Frank Lampard. What do you make of that? Chelsea, if you take the manager's job at Chelsea, you know you've got to get results and you don't have necessarily much time.
Well, clearly, I'm really sad for Frank and his staff. I know how much the club means to him, Rob, and everything that he's given the club, and obviously looking at the squad and looking at everything else around it and how young they are and the adaptation for players coming in. I said it last week. It's just a team and a squad that needs time. Unfortunately, he hasn't been given that time. So no, I really feel for him. A guy who done great at Derby. You know, he had the courage to step out of an amazing career as a player, and could have taken an easier route, but it's gone straight into coaching and managing, and done a great job at Derby. Took a job he couldn't really turn down, even though he had not a lot of experience, but felt he could have done a really good job there, and he did do that last season. And obviously, okay, results maybe haven't quite been what they would have wanted and what he would have wanted, because he's a winner himself. But like I say, I feel it's a job that needed time, and unfortunately, and sadly for him, that he hasn't got that time.
I mentioned to you last week that you came a very different route in the way you schooled yourself before you became a manager, and with Frank Lampard, he took a big job, totally understandably, that had so many emotional connections for him very early in his career. But look, you lost your job at Liverpool, which was a dream job for you, I'm sure, and you've come back, you've rebuilt yourself, and you're now respected as one of the very best in the game again. What advice do you give to Frank about how he bounces back?
No, I think it's not that you rebuild yourself. You know that in this life, as a professional coach and manager, that you're going to lose your job. It's absolutely guaranteed. It's what happens. So it's tough the first time. You know, when I lost my job at Reading, it was really tough. You go away and you analyse your work and where you can be better, where you can improve, the principles of your game, and do you need to change? Do you need to adapt? But there's absolutely no question that first time that you do lose your job, you then it makes you better, and it's a hard one, because you got to feel that pain. But the next time you go in, and if Frank decides to go in again and continue on the path as being a manager and a head coach, then he will be better for it. Doesn't feel like it today. But I can assure him that will be the case, and I've always said that to every manager I speak to, and that's why I try to reach out to managers when they lose a job, because you feel in that moment you're not in a really good place, and you may not get another opportunity again. But it's a professional job. It's a tough life as a manager, and but like I say, he's got immense character, Frank, and if he wants to continue on that path, like I say, he will be a better one for it.
We've been told pretty categorically that Thomas Tuchel is going to take over as the next Chelsea manager. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, nothing really to add to it, Rob, because if he's not been appointed yet, I don't know Thomas at all. I've obviously only seen from afar his work, but yeah, it's something that, you know, like I said, it's a sad day. A sad day for Frank. I also know the coaching staff and the people there really well, and I'm sure it was a tough decision for the club and obviously for Frank. So nothing really more to say on it than I'm really disappointed for him.
No, that's absolutely fair enough. Thank you for that. Let's talk about Leicester and another tremendous win from your guys. And you gave a chance to a lot of players who haven't maybe featured as much of late, some of them coming back from injury as well. Any individuals now that you've had a chance to analyse the game who particularly impressed you?
The team was excellent, I thought. We were going to a team that you've seen Brentford's record in the game, that they hadn't lost in about 19 games. So that tells you the rhythm and the confidence that they had. So I thought we went and we started the game well, give away a cheap goal from our perspective. Still showed some good moments in the first half, but really second half I thought we were excellent from the first whistle. Intensity in the game, closed the game much better in terms of our defensive pressing and our structure, and that always allows us to attack better. And now second 45 we were very good. Collectively, the team was good. I was really pleased to see Ricky back. You know, Danny Ward hasn't played a great deal, but when he's played this season, he's been excellent. So great to get him some game time. Ricky, as you say, first game in over 10 odd months start. So that was nice to get him 69 odd minutes. Centre halves, how I would expect them to be. Luke Thomas has been great for me in the season. The midfield players, yeah, very good. And I thought Ayo, even though he didn't score, I thought he was very good in the game. His movement, you know, things I've been asking him to improve on in terms of his physicality and intensity. You could see that in his game. And he was very, very unfortunate not to score. But was a real pivotal player for us yesterday in the game. And obviously Chenga gets his second goal as well. So yeah, all in all, it was a good performance and into the next round. And we just continue with the good energy and momentum that the team has, hopefully, into our next game.
You mentioned Jose Perez there. When Jamie Vardy is unavailable, is Jose Perez your first choice standing?
Well, it just depends on the game, the type of game that we want to play. There's no doubt he's a talent. You know, there's a lot made of when Jamie doesn't play, and clearly he's a real, you know, talented striker and one of the best in this league. But our development here as a team has been around the collective. You know, if you think we've scored 53 goals this season over the course of the season so far, and Jamie's got 13 of those, and 40 of the goals have come from other people. You know, if we look at the developments of some of those players and Barnesy and Matters and Yuri and these guys chipping in. So Ayo, I know will score goals. He hasn't featured as much this season, and that's just been unfortunate, but part of that has been because of the form of the team. But he will play a really pivotal role for us in the second part of the season. And whether it's he that plays or Kelechi that plays or someone else that might play in there, then the responsibility for goals is with the team.
How is Jamie Vardy after his operation? It sounded like there's good potential news on his ETA, shall we say? Yeah,
well, like I said last week, Rob, after his operation, there was a timeline on it. Yeah, a little bit sore, as you would expect, but he's in really good form. He's hopefully will be a quick healer and then be back available fairly soon.
Come on. Transfers finally, before I let the guys talk to you about Everton and beyond. Demarai Gray didn't play again yesterday. Is he any closer to a move away from Leicester? We've been told that the Crystal Palace are having some discussions about whether they might take him.
I haven't heard anything, Rob, new today from speaking yesterday. So yeah, there nothing new on that. He trained this morning, trained very well, but that's nothing more to add.
And last one from me then. The only team to beat you in the last 12 games is Everton. How good are they right now? Do you see them as a top 6, top 8 team maybe in the Premier League?
Well, definitely a team that's going to challenge. You know, they've had big investment in the team over the last 4 to 5 years. So I think there's an expectancy there in order to challenge. Carlo's a world-class manager. He's got big experience. So he will look along with his staff to maximise what he can get out of them. And they've got outstanding players. So I definitely expect them to be challenging. For us, it's probably the one disappointing game that I look back on, and we gave away not great goals and we didn't play so well on the evening. But I think we arrive into this game in a totally different moment. You know, our energy's good, the momentum's good. We're playing how I want us to play, defending how we want to defend, and hopefully we can put in a much better performance. It was a game where it wasn't a great game of football, and the worst we should have done in that game was take a point, but we conceded two poor goals from our perspective and end up losing a game that there wasn't much in. So hopefully our performance level will be better in the game on Wednesday.
Top man. Thanks, Brendan.
Cheers, Rob.
Thank you, Rob. Let's go to Jason Bourne, Talksport, please.
Hey, Brendan, hope you're well today.
Hey, Jason.
Let me just get my notes up. I wasn't expecting to go second. Stand by. Rob mentioned Iosi Perez there, a player that we've spoken to before in the last few weeks, left out of a few Premier League squads, and has shown real resilience, as you've talked about, come back into the side more recently, getting a goal or two, getting amongst things. Have we seen the best of Iosi Perez yet in a Leicester shirt? And where do you think he is best suited in the side, having played him in a number of positions over the last 2 seasons or so?
Yeah, probably his best position is maybe more central, obviously, in how we've been playing. We've obviously had Jamie as that main central player. So we've played him in a position just off the right side, one that he's been comfortable with, not as an out-and-out wide player, but where he played a lot for Newcastle, just on the side, but coming in and joining in the attack. But he's probably best suited in that central role. He's been a very important player for us. I might not feel that for people watching, but he's one that it's always difficult. You change club. I haven't been at a club for a period of time. Last year he adapted really well. This year he hasn't featured so much. And primarily because of the influence of other players have kept him out. So, but what he's continued to do, Iosi, is train very well, train with great purpose. Things we've asked him to improve on, he's looking to do that. We're a team that needs and wants to play with a big intensity and an aggression in our game, and that's something that he's continued getting better and better at. So, and also what I know is he will score goals. He is a natural goal scorer for me when he plays. And like I say, it was unfortunate not to score yesterday, but will always carry a threat, different to Jamie, of course. But he's always looking to score goals.
Another one of your options in attack, Kelechi Iheanacho. It's fair to say, I think he divides opinion amongst some of the fans. Came to the club as a somewhat big signing back in 2017. Now, we have seen him amongst the goals in the Europa League this season, but maybe struggle for that consistency and that game time throughout his entire period at the club, really. Firstly, what kind of striker do you think he is? Is he better in a 2, for example? And what kind of role do you see him having at the club long term?
Well, the role currently that he's been in the period of time I've been here, I think he's done very, very well. And it's always difficult for any striker when you have, when you play with one up front, and Jamie's that player, then you need guys that are going to be loyal and supportive in behind that. He's played very well with Jamie. I think that's something when we played, a diamond formation or 3-1-4-2 when he's been up there, he's worked really well. He's made a great impact coming into games. But of course, it's difficult especially for strikers, because they get the confidence through scoring goals. And obviously a lot of that will come when they're in rhythm and playing. So he maybe doesn't play as much as what maybe a striker needs to get that rhythm of goals. But there's absolutely no question he contributes. And even if he comes on for 10 minutes, like in the game yesterday, he comes in, he brings a great energy to the game, a great positivity to the game, and he'll always disrupt defenders because he's so powerful and strong. So he's still a really valuable player for us. And even though he might not be scoring the goals, like you say, in the Premier League, and he's had chances, he's still an important player for us in this second part of the season.
Just want to ask you about Yuri Tielemans, who wore the captain's armband at Brentford. Now, we know Wes Morgan is the club captain. Casper, of course, skippers and captains more often than not in matches this season. Plus, you'd also look at perhaps Johnny Evans. Jamie Vardy has been in that strong leadership material too. Do you feel the side, or do you feel that side of things has maybe evolved for the better since you've took over 2 years ago?
I think it's something that I've tried to promote here. And when you have a young squad, you're asking them to take on responsibility. You've got to give them responsibility, of course, but you have to encourage them to take that. And I've been really happy with that side of our development, those leadership qualities that the players are showing. As you say, Yuri at 23, but has got great football knowledge and experience and understands tactically what I want to do in the team. And he plays with that authority in the game, which is important. But I see James Maddison developing real leadership qualities. Guys that are maybe a little bit quieter, like Harvey Barnes, they're showing that confidence. And it's something that is difficult in the modern game, because sometimes players are very quiet and don't maybe communicate so much. But we've tried to promote that here, tried to promote the players having a voice, using it in a positive way. And I think we see that in the team now. They're just starting to evolve and play with that greater maturity. So that's always good to see.
Final one from me, Brendan. We've been speaking to Wesley Fofana in the build-up to the game against Everton. Now, as we know, he's had a really strong start to life at the club and here in England. Now, you pride yourself on developing players, developing footballers. He's doing well. But are there things you can see in him already that maybe need to be looked at? And I don't mean that in a detrimental way. Is it just simply about experience and game time for him now over the next few years to get him into an even better place?
Yeah, he has shown immense potential since he's come in. You know, I think he'd only played something like 17 odd games, but he does things so naturally in the game whenever we're looking at him, and then you see it now when he comes in. You know, for a defender, his anticipation, and one of the key elements for me in a defender to be able to anticipate danger and read the game is he's at a really high level already, and that will only improve with more game experience. Speed, his ability in the air, in the Premier League or in any league in the British game, you need to be good in the air. You need to be able to defend those balls into the box and those frontal balls that you got to go and attack. And he's very good in that moment. He defends forward. I like my defenders to be aggressive and trying to anticipate, and so he does all of that there. But yeah, there are positional elements to his game that will become better with more games and more coaching time. But also he spent most of his career thus far playing in a back three. So to be able to then adapt, he's just walked past us there, to be able to adapt and play in it in the two like he's been doing a lot since he's come in, that's really showing you his football intelligence. So yeah, I can't speak highly enough of him. He's a young player that's still got developments and improvements to make, but I think what you're seeing is a lot of the great qualities and why we wanted to bring him in.
Many thanks. All the best on Wednesday. Cheers, Brendan.
Thanks, Jason. Thank you.
Okay, let's go to Ian Stringer, BBC Radio Leicester, please.
Hello, Brendan.
Hi, Ian.
Just a first question on injuries. Really, we know about Jamie Vardy's recovery, etc. Just wonder whether there's any other injuries that you've picked up recently that might affect you for the game on Wednesday. And Christian Fuchs, I don't think he was in the squad yesterday, Brendan. You may correct me, but is he okay? Any knocks at the minute?
Yeah, no, none other than the boys that have been out. Ian, Vards, obviously Dennis Pratt, and Wes Morgan. So everyone else coming through really well. Fuchs has been training. He's played a great part for us in this first part of the season. Not been involved so much as of late because of the other players returning, but he's fit, been training well, and he always makes himself and available if he's required.
With that in mind, how difficult is your defensive selection for this game against Everton then, Brendan? Castagna, Ricardo, James Justin, all available and fit and playing very, very well. Soyuncu, Fofana, Evans. I wouldn't fancy selection year 11 against Everton and telling those that are out, they're out.
No, I've said it many times. It's the most difficult job, especially when you have top-class professionals. And I'm just thankful that with all the injuries we've had, that they are back and available and getting up to some sort of game time. They all know that all of them are required. You know, the same 11 won't play in every single game between now and the end of the season. But the players respect the spirit of the team. I communicate with the guys that are on the outside, so they know exactly where they are, and they always know that they're very close and close to playing. So they just got to be ready. So, but yeah, I'd much rather have it that way than players injured, but to have the quality that we have, that makes me really happy.
You mentioned the 53 goals scored and 40 of which weren't Jamie Vardy, Brendan. An interesting observation and something I wanted to ask you about, actually, that since he last scored against Spurs, I think James Maddison has 4, Harvey Barnes has got similar. There's lots of people been weighing in, and there is often a talk about the, quote, reliance on Jamie Vardy. Are people weighing in more this season a really big piece of the jigsaw that you feel slotting into place for you?
Yeah, I think that's time and development. Naturally, when you have a player of Jamie's quality and importance to us, then of course naturally you will say that it's a big miss, and of course it is. But what we've been trying to build here is something which is based around the collective. And if you actually search and go deeper into it, you'll actually see, like you say, in those games that Jamie hasn't scored in, for example, we've won 5 and drawn 2 in those. So we can't be reliant on one player. It's not how I work. It's not the way that I think. I've always said, in order for us to be successful, we have to have contributions from everyone on a defensive front and an attacking front, and we're seeing now that development with, like you say, so if you look at it at the moment, Jamie would be our 3rd highest goal scorer. We have Harvey Barnes and James Maddison, for example, who are scoring goals. And if you look at James Maddison, James has scored 9 goals already and 5 assists, and he had 9 goals and 3 assists in the whole of last season. So you're seeing his improvement and development in terms of his numbers. Harvey as well, he's already in double figures, and so that's great. And we've got other players that can step up as well. So it's not right just to focus on Jamie and put everything onto him, because collectively it's a team effort, and hopefully we can continue to score whilst he's out, and we'll be really happy when he's back as well.
I wanted to ask you about Harvey Barnes, Brendan. I know you have shifted his position a few times, predominantly out wide. I think, and most people watching on, I'm sure would agree, he's having a terrific season. His finishing seemed clearly the hard work that he's been putting in on his finishing. He's reaping the rewards of that. Do you think Harvey Barnes is always going to be a wide player, Brendan, or is there a future for him as a more central attacking player? I'm not necessarily saying an out-and-out number 9 striker, but could a move from a wide area to a more central area be his long-term future?
No. I think if you look at his strengths, Ian, his strengths is in the 1v1 and getting at defenders from the wide position. What we've looked to develop his game to move on the inside and not then think of yourself as a winger, think of yourself as an attacker, and also about making runs into certain areas when the ball's coming in from the other side. But it's a different skill set in the middle of the pitch. On the inside, there's more bodies around you. You got to take the ball in tighter spaces. But if you look at players' strength, his strength is from the side in the 1v1, combining with other players and getting behind, and then drifting into those spaces from time to time, and then, like I said, when the ball's on the other side, making the box to score. So he's made great strides. Harvey, his nous in the game is getting better. His football understanding is getting better. His focus on what his job is in terms of scoring goals, creating goals, is improving all the time. And then naturally, his confidence. And the one thing it is with any player that you have to give them is patience. That's also something that's very, very important. You do work on the training field, you do everything else. They'll fail at times, they'll learn, and then they'll win in the end with patience.
And he's a local boy, which obviously to our audience and to the Foxes fans goes down particularly well. Talking of local, Brendan, it is a very much local question, so apologies to my colleagues, but we speak to the Leicester Tigers on a regular basis. And head coach Steve Borthwick has told us recently, Brendan, he's watched on and admired the Foxes team spirit and how they're coached and how they're managed, and has suggested he'd like to reach out to you and see if there's collaboration between the Tigers and the football club that could come. Is that something you've received, and is it something you'd welcome?
Yeah, I've already received that, and I've gone back to Steve, and I'll really look forward to that moment when we can. meet and have a chat. I'm one that's very curious. I love hearing about other sports and guys like Steve who have fantastic careers in the game. So I'm really looking forward to that, getting his experiences and learning from him and exchanging ideas. And I've always seen that as beneficial, and I'm always curious to know, whether it's business or whether it's in another sport, the types of qualities that it takes to be successful. And I've always been open to that type of learning. So yeah, I'm looking forward to speaking with Steve when we have the opportunity.
Did you ever play a bit of rugby, Brendan, or was it always football with you? Is he going to teach you a thing or two?
No, I've never. Can you imagine me? But Steve would stamp all over me. I think he's about 6'6", and I'm
wide,
whatever I am, on my tiptoes. But no, he's no. I've never were rugby. I played Gaelic football and hurling and more of the Irish sports and a bit of basketball. But no, I never went to a rugby playing school, so I never played.
Well, when the world's back open, a trip to Welford Road, I'm sure, would be welcome. Thanks for your time, Brendan. Good luck Wednesday.
Ian, before you go, can I just make one quick point, obviously, to the local radio station? We lost a lady called Sheila Kent, who'd worked over about 27 years here at the club, and she just passed away. And I just wanted to send condolences to the family. I know that it's affected a lot of people here. She's been in this journey with Leicester City for such a long time, and I know when I came in, she was of great help to me, and very quickly she's passed away. So it was just to send our condolences to her family and to everyone in the Leicester family. Like I say, who it'll be tough for them at the moment with her passing.
A laundry lady, Brendan, but a lot more than that. The role, I bumped into Sheila on many an occasion and quietly went about her business. But one of those key roles, one of those roles that the players will look on, and it's not tactics, it's not fitness, it's the laundry lady, and she was instrumental at this football club. Yeah,
she was amazing, and those are all the people that are equally important. They're the real stars and a part of the team here. So it's not just about the players. There's so many people that work tirelessly on a day-to-day basis, and she was one of them, Sheila. So yeah, sad day for us all.
Thanks, Brendan.
Cheers, Ian. Thank you.